Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, Kelly Teaches Stuff. This week, we are still continuing with the Encyclopedia Project. We're going to start off with reviewing our rules of capitalization. We're going to go on to our lessons for the project for letters S, T, U, and V, and then we're going to go over just a few reminders as you're working on the next week. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start with our capitalization review. So first off, the first word of every sentence needs to be capitalized. Let's look at our examples here. We have every time students don't do their classwork, a unicorn dies. Guess which teacher moved into a new house last week? It was Mrs. French. Mrs. Patterson is a well-known chocoholic, probably the biggest one on the sixth grade hall, after Mr. Hagedorn, probably, or before Mr. Hagedorn. And then Miss Anderson's daughter loves unicorns. Don't let them die by not doing your work. All right, next, proper nouns also need to be capitalized. So people, places, and things that are proper nouns. So a specific name, not a generic name. We say generic. Instead of saying people, Kobe Bryant, I might say man, or just a basketball player. So being a proper noun is an actual name of that person, right? So for people, we have Kobe Bryant, Beyonce, Tom Brady. For places, Glacier National Park, New York City. And remember, when we're actually naming the park, we're going to actually say what the name is, Glacier National Park. If I just say I'm going to go to the park today, but I don't say which park, that's going to be a common noun and it doesn't need to be capitalized. All right, let's look at the next thing. Things. Ford Mustang. All right, so that is the proper noun, Ford Mustang. Common noun would be if you just said car, right, or sports car. Another example, RAV4, and then Samsung, right? Those are all proper nouns. They all need to be capitalized. All right, next we have titles of books, movies, and TV shows. So for books, for some examples, we have Flush or Diary of a Wimpy Kid. For movies, Despicable Me, How to Train Your Dragon, and TV shows, American Ninja Warrior, Mythbusters. And guys, if you're not sure how to spell your, favorite title of your book or your movie or your TV show, Google it and make sure that you get it right. Next, days, months, and holidays. So I just wrote 3 for days, but boys and girls, you know that every single day of the week needs to be capitalized. Every single month, not just June, July, and August, but every single month of the year needs a capital. And then holidays, every single holiday also needs to be capitalized. So Memorial Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Hanukkah, right? All of those need to be capitalized. All right. Titles of people. So when we think about a title of a person, it's a word that comes before their name. So if we said Uncle Jeremy, right, we're saying he's my uncle. So you would say capital letter, Uncle Jeremy. Aunt Kelly, President Trump, Dr. Copeland, Mayor Mary Ann Baldwin, who right now is our mayor of Raleigh. Prince Harry, Princess Katie, Queen Elizabeth. All of these are titles: uncle, aunt, president, doctor, mayor, prince, princess. All right, so titles of people also have to be capitalized before you say the name of the person. All right, other things that need capitalization are nationalities, languages, and religions. So nationalities, examples, Australian, Swedish, Mexican, languages, Spanish, English, Chinese, religions, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism. Okay. So that was just to recap your lessons from last week on grammar. So as you're moving forward this week and you're doing your editing, make sure that you go back and capitalize all of these things that need capitalization. All right, so we're moving on to our lesson for the letter S. So for your letter S, you need a 6-word memoir. And so I'm going to teach you what that's going to look like and give you some examples. So when you think about a 6-word memoir, right, you're actually expressing the state of your life, like right now, in just 6 words. Okay, 6 words, that's it. So you have to be really thoughtful about the words that you're going to use. And you also have to think about placement, right? If it's just one statement, you can write it like a sentence. But as you'll see, some of them need a little more thought into where you're going to space your words. And we're going to talk about this as we see these, we move on. All right, so some of these examples are from magazines and some are from professionals that were in magazines or interviews, and some are student examples. So let's look at this one from a magazine. The past is forgiven, comma, not forgotten. So think about how they put their words on their 2 lines, right? They wanted the reader to know that the past was forgiven, and then on a completely separate line, another thought. The past is also not forgotten, right? So is purposeful placement of those words. All right, look at this one. Escaped my mother, trapped by girlfriend. All right, so this person was talking about how the fact they finally got away from their house, right, and their mom, but now they have a girlfriend who maybe is a little too attached. So this is just funny, and see how the 2, right, the 2 lines really needed to be separated because they're 2 separate thoughts. Okay, I escaped my mother. That's one thought. Trapped by my girlfriend. By girlfriend, that's a second thought. All right, another professional example. Teach, travel, speak, write, tired. Okay, so this could be for any professional, right, who's in the business world, who's going around to conferences and things like that, and that's their life in 6 words. All right, this is another professional example. Read a book, Smarter Than Yesterday. All right, again, the purposeful placement of these 2 thoughts. All right, let's look at this one. This was from a student. Failure often leads to great success. And this one, letting go means being strong enough. All right, and see the purposeful way that this student put their words. Letting go means being strong enough. So they wanted that emphasis to be on being strong enough, those words together, and then letting go being on their own. That kind of makes just having those words together gives us a pause to say, oh, they let something go. All right, here's another student example. Eat, school, cheerleading, work, sleep, repeat. All right, so if you're choosing to do something like this, right, notice this student put periods after each word to emphasize that each one was kind of separate. All right, this one, painful nerd kid, happy nerd adult. All right, now Miss Williamson in this example chose to use the same word twice, nerd, in her 6-word memoir. Normally we wouldn't do that because we only have 6 words. So we really don't want to repeat. But the purpose of this was her showing that when you're a nerd as a kid, it can be painful, but a lot of times those nerds, right, grow up to be very happy individuals and live a happy life. So she wanted people to know that, yeah, there's hope for the nerds in the world. I was a nerd too, just saying. All right, this person, I love this one too. This man rhymed, and this is fun. You can have your 6-word memoir rhyme or not. It might be kind of difficult if you only have 6 words. So let's look at what he wrote. 70 years, few tears, hairy ears. All right, and that's kind of funny. I thought it was funny. All right, this one from a student, 14 years old, story still untold. And again, this one rhymes too, with the 2 words at the end rhyming. All right, boys and girls, this one was a student that I taught, and he lived in Egypt, and they actually evacuated Egypt and came to America. And when he did this assignment, this were his thoughts. Everything changed. We went to America. And that was his 6-word memoir, and it was very powerful. All right, this is mine. Childless teacher has thousands of kids, which is true. I have had thousands of kids and none of my own. So I'm very lucky that I do get to teach thousands of kids since I didn't get to have any of my own kids. All right, so that's what you need to do for the 6-word memoir, okay? 6 words, all right? You have to be very thoughtful about these words and go ahead and make them in a bigger font so they take up more room and so you don't have this tiny little space in the middle of your big page, right? Make the font, I don't know, like 30, 40, something like that. And if you're doing multiple lines, right, think about the spacing of where you want those to be. All right, so that is a requirement for this project, so make sure that you do that. If you had another idea that you really wanted to write about the letter S, you could add that underneath and you could add a second entry. I know some of you have already been doing that because you've had multiple ideas, and you can certainly do that for this one as well. All right, so let's look at some letter T ideas because you'll be also working on the letter T. We have treasured objects, timing. When I think about timing, we think about the timing of things right now, right? Think about if you were a senior right now and the timing of this virus at the end of your school year, right? And that person might talk about that. Talents that you have, the telephone, texting or texting lingo, text that made you LOL, a track out tragedy, right? We went on track out and we didn't come back in track 1. Things that bother me, or you could write things that confuse me, or things that annoy me, all right, or things that I'm thankful for. So those could also be a list as long as you haven't reached your 5 limit on lists. So you're going to have to look back at your work and think about that. All right, I'm going to share a couple of my entries. So the first one is that I wrote on was the telephone. So Chris says I talk on this way too much. I have sisters. I have brothers. I have friends. I have 3 sisters-in-law. I have 3 telephones in the house and a cell phone. I have 1 telephone ear, the left one. All right. What's wrong with this picture? All right. So you might have something fun to say about your telephone. Or yes. All right. This is another one that I did. And so I went ahead and put my whole list on there, boys and girls, even though it's kind of small, but I'm only going to share a couple of them with you. You can obviously read them on your own. So things that annoy me. All right, and underneath that, I wrote, there are lots of things that really annoy me. They are listed below, but in no particular order. So I'm just going to point out a couple of these. So distracted drivers, right? People that text or read and drive. Especially number 4, students that make random noises during class and don't fess up that it was them. Let's see, number 7, people that check their phones when we are at dinner and it really is important, or they don't have a sick child at home, or maybe no kids at home. Number 8, because I bet some of you do this, when there's only 1 sip of milk left in the carton and it really should have been thrown out, but it wasn't, right? And then you go to pick up that milk or that carton or that juice, and then you shake it and there's like hardly anything in there. All right, let's see. When number 11, when people jump to conclusions. Number 12, people that are cruel to animals. 14, pencils in general. I hate pencils, right? I hate the sounds they make when people are writing and erasing. And most of the time, the erasers just break right off the end, right? Or fall off. So I'm not a big fan of pencils. 16, people that never give compliments to another living thing, right? I always watch for that. Number 17, parents that don't watch over their children, right, in stores or restaurants. And finally, number 18, lists that stop at number 18. Okay, just kidding on that one. I couldn't resist. But anyway, you get the idea. So other things that you could do with that, right? You could do things that confuse you, right? Or things that bother you, which is kind of the same things of annoy, or again, things that I'm thankful for. But one thing I want you to notice is that even though this was a list, there was a lot of writing, right? Some of them were short, but a lot of the other of my entries had like a complete sentence or something that talked about the specific thing that annoyed me. So I just didn't say pencils, right? I said why the pencils annoy me. Um, so that's an idea. You can come back to those if you need that. And again, check to make sure that you're not at your 5 limit of lists in all of your entries so far. All right, so for the letter U, all right, we have unicorns, unfair, understanding, under stress or under stress or under pressure. Ultimate, so this could be like the ultimate game, the ultimate dessert, ultimate friendship. So using that word to describe something else. Underestimated, umpire. Maybe there was a game, or maybe you're in sports and you had something really interesting happen with the umpire. Uncles, unconditional, which could be like unconditional love. Universities, maybe you want to talk about a university that you're thinking of attending in the future. And then just another one, useful stuff to know, right? Maybe you just want to write down some things that you know that are really cool that other people might not know. All right. And let's see what I did for you. So I got stuck on you when I was writing my book, Boys and Girls. And honestly, I just Googled words and I came up with the word unanimous. And if you wanted to use this too, you could, but you would have to use it a different way than I did. So if you think about the word unanimous, just that word, if you don't know what it means everybody's agreeing on something. Okay, so if everybody's voting to have a party in the classroom and it was going to be pizza, that would be a unanimous vote. Everybody wanted pizza, right? And you know how difficult that is, right, to get everybody on the same page. And so that's why I chose this word. So unanimous. I like this word. Everyone agreeing on something. Nothing to discuss. No negotiations to be had. Done deal. Everyone is satisfied with the outcome or the plan. Too bad this so rarely happens. I wonder if the other words make fun of this one. I can hear them now. Disagreement lurking just around the corner, waiting for its chance. Hey, unanimous, you didn't get used again today, did you? I was used 14,000 times, and that was just in Washington, D.C. Poor unanimous. He's probably in some self-help group with all the other slightly used words. I think I'll add the word unanimous to our next vocabulary quiz. That way, when disagreement comes to bully him, unanimous can say, oh, I was studied and used by over 100 students this week. Were you on a quiz? I think not. All right, so make sure that you have some fun with your entries too. All right, the creativity of my writing came out in this, and I know it can be shown through your writing. And again, if you get stuck on a letter and you don't like these suggestions that are on here, come up with your own. You're more than welcome to. All right, so letter V ideas. Virtual learning, which is what you're doing right now, right? Values, volleyball, volunteering, visitors, veterans, vaccines, vacay or vacation, video or videos, victories, vehicles, veggies. All right, so those are just some suggestions of something that you might want to do for yours. For my letter V, I did Virginia, which is where I lived for a long time in my life. And I'm going to just read that one so you'll get an idea. All right, Virginia. Virginia was my first real home. I lived in the Fairfax area and attended elementary school there. Later, we moved north to Massachusetts and then south to Texas. After my dad retired from the Air Force, we moved back to Virginia to a small town called Farmville. It's almost in the middle of the state if you put your finger on the map. I spent my high school and college years in Farmville, so that is why it still feels like home to me. Most of my family still live in the Fairfax area, and I visit them as often as I can. I'll be glad when I can travel again and see my sisters and my brothers. All right, so that's for letter V. All right, so that is finished up our lessons for this week. So just a few reminders before you're moving on. First of all, number one, make sure that if you're going to do a list for that letter T, right, that you don't have more than 5 lists on this entire assignment. And I know in 6-1, some of my students are already there, so they're going to have to think of something else to do besides a list. Number 2, You can do a second entry for the letter S if you wish, but make sure that you complete the 6-word memoir entry because it is a requirement. Number 3, did you include at least 5 sentences per entry with lots of descriptions and details? And guys, the only one you don't have to do that for is the letter S. If you want to keep letter S just as one 6-word memoir, then you're done with it. If you want to add on to it, you can. But all your other entries need to have a minimum of 5 sentences and really as much as you can write to get your story out, right? Number 4, read your entries out loud. Okay. Do you have run on sentences? So remember last week when I read those sentences and I was almost out of breath because there was no punctuation? Well, if you're doing that when you're reading your entries out loud, you've got a run on sentence and you need to go back and fix it before you turn that in. All right, number 5, and this is a big one, guys. Check for that pronoun I. All right, and make sure that when you use that pronoun referring to yourself, I, all right, that it is capitalized. You are a person. When you're talking about yourself, letter I, capitalized. It is the only pronoun that is capitalized unless they come at the beginning of a sentence. All right, and number 6, complete your work or a unicorn will die. And we do not want that to keep happening again and again. I'm really kind of afraid for how many unicorns we're going to have left in this world because some people aren't doing their classwork. So do your classwork or he's going to die. Oh no, here I go. Woo! And there he went. Make sure that doesn't happen for realsies. All right, I hope you guys have a good rest of the week and a good weekend and stay safe and wash your hands. And we will see you later.